Good morning to all of you. I am really thankful that this opportunity is given by the organizer to me to speak here at this body. Thank you very much, and I will start my this talk by saying that the topic, which is multiculturalism in primary schools, challenges that could be addressed through the teacher education. So I would like to say here that I will start my talk with highlighting few cases, because I believe that we have heard about the concept and policies and scenario a lot in first day of the conference, so it will be the repetition, and within given time I would like to focus more on the cases which I have taken from the schools and would highlight what type of challenges the teachers at this level are facing and how to improve. Few suggestions are there. So my talk will be based on these, you can say, the highlights. So as we know the issues and challenges at the school level, if we talk the type of school we have, so main categorization is based on government and private school. One more category is added in recent years, that is international or world school, but it is totally different on the basis of the resources available in these institutions. So a particular class is going to take education in these schools, so I am not covering that. But here I'll have collected cases from government school and then private schools where the middle economic class, very few are from the higher economic class students are there. So starting from these cases, as I would say here that after this Right to Education Act 2009 and reservation of 25% seats of economically weaker section and disadvantaged group, there are students from the different socio-economic class which again form of the minority and lead to multiculturalism. This point was very much emphasized by the Professor Ratna Ghosh yesterday. So after this policy, now in private school also we'll see the different growth. Otherwise in government school we'll see the situation that people from the middle and lower class background are there, and all the private school middle class people are approaching to this type of education. So first case from the school which is here, I'm not taking the name of that particular school, but private school first and then I'll come to government schools. So the school which case is mentioned here is co-educational private school. Motto of the school is Vidya Dadati Dunyam. Many education foster humility. Although it is an English medium school, India's culture is strongly valued here. And it is also recognized for academic excellence and consistently ranked as not only one of the top 10 schools in India, but also amongst the top school of Indian background in all of Asia, Europe and US, including embassy school in other countries and ISC school across the globe. It is known for the high rate of rejection and a small rate of acceptance, as it selects relatively smaller set of children and one of the most financially expensive schools. Students from the economically weaker section feel isolated and lag behind in academics. As it is observed, students from economically weaker section are not able to cope up because of English medium, as well as lack of facilities at home, holiday homework and other instruction are circulated online, and they have this type of issue with them. So these children are not able to access, and some of them have computers, but they are not able to operate and they are not able to complete their homework. Similarly, they are not able to make up for the tours, out-of-station trip, which is also the part of the education, and we can learn effectively from these type of practices. So they are not participating in that, and in a way impacting their personality in negative way and making them isolated. So the school which case mentioned is a private school catering to upper middle class. Its school mission is established partnership, but home and school community where each student is provided equal and diverse learning opportunities, though a progressive child-centered innovative curriculum is safe. Secular, nurturing and enriching environment and that inspires individuals to achieve their potential, imbibe a value system, enables them become empowered, responsible, creative member of the community. With the student belong to EWS category, there was only one student in the class from EWS category, and then he did not converse with the teacher because she used to talk in English, and other student did not talk to him much because of class difference. Here the question arises, is it multicultural education in India? The school, which case is mentioned, is a convent school. Second one, managed by the renowned educationists associated with many educational institutions from over 35 years. The school vision is to create environment affording inspiration for development body, mind and spirit, along with the value of truth, honesty. It intends to serve needs and purpose and interest of the whole child, of every child. The school also believed to become a leading educational institution known for providing happy environment, which encourage fearless, intellectual curiosity for learning through enthusiastic self-discovery, and inspired for love, integrity, compassion in life. As observed, classes are air-conditioned in the school. The students from economically weaker section are not integrated in the classes even after government policy and strict monitoring from the government side. The students from economically weaker section have separate classes in separate rooms. Just having single tube light and fan. And sometimes they are not having this chair and desk. In spite of government instruction, they are charged with smart board classes fee, though they are minimal exposure. They are not getting every time, every class where these smart board are. So this type of discrimination is very much visible when we were observing these classes there, and they are charged with the smart board classes. As I mentioned, they do not get opportunity to participate in any function of the school, resulting complaints were filed against the school. Still, they follow same practice. Out of 37 economically weaker section students, 29 withdrew and left the school and took admission in government school and few in other private school under this policy. So this type of outcome is very much visible, and it is there in black and white. So see what type of implementation is there of these good policy, I can say, from the government side. Here the question arises, is it multicultural education in India? It is integration of a student from different background. They are not even following the norms and policy laid down by the government. Third, the school which I have taken, the school which case is mentioned here, the premier co-educational senior secondary school under the aegis of Samarth Shiksha Samiti, affiliated to CBSE. It was observed when teacher was teaching poem class in Hindi. One child asked the meaning of Jugnu. Teacher explained Jugnu and said it shines in dark. Teacher continued with the poem. Another child having very dark complexion asked the meaning of Bhavra. It was there in the poem. Teacher explained the meaning and said, "Uska rang ekdam iske jaisa hota hai, kala." Color of the bumblebee is the same as this child. So, pure black. Here the question arises, what kind of racial value we are including at this level? So, the multiculturalism is an important component, and multicultural education the school runs, government in South Delhi, teacher drew the board and said, it was example from the second class, cha, in Hindi. Say charpai. It's a folding bed. One student belongs to Haryana, said to teacher, this is not charpai, this is khat, khatia. Teacher replied to him, no, this is charpai, write it down. Teacher could also ask the student what different things are termed in their language. So in government school there is only one accepted language, that is Hindi. So although there is the optional subject of Sanskrit, Urdu and Punjabi in Delhi, but there is no place for other regional languages. So suggest which I have given here, how to teach this type of classes. But different languages do not get a space in the classroom, which is the result and analysis of this school. In private school, there is no place for even Hindi language, as we know. Okay. So, they don't find teachers and students also look them with the inferiority. The regard of the student from the economically weaker section suffer more because they belong from different class. Now I will just skip all the cases and emphasize here the National Curriculum Framework 2005. For the multicultural education in India, it emphasizes in strengthening the national system of education in a pluralistic society. There is a lot of emphasis on multilingualism in National Curriculum Framework 2005. The school which also, I have few cases, the sign language which is very important, and then they also mentioned that Ghoda Sarpat Daud Raha Hai, and taken example from one region, कि ये बच्चा तो गा नहीं बोलेगा, he will always say Ghoda. So this type of issues are there, and teachers are very much rigid in their values, their culture, and they are not accepting multiculturalism. So on the basis of these observation and analysis, I have given few, because I have to conclude it in, I think now it's only 2 minutes left for me. A few more cases like Pahadi and Bihari, this type of labels are given to the student on the basis of the use of language and on the basis of their career option. So all these things are there, and we have recorded these cases and presented analysis in this paper. So I would like to say here that they develop awareness of their own cultural perspective, thus gaining insight into the cultural assumption underlying their expectations, beliefs and behavior. They also need to realize that their cultural perspective is not a universal norm. This is for the teachers, and nor it is it the only right one. In short, teacher candidate need metacognitive strategies to gain awareness not only of their own knowledge and skills in the classroom, but also of the efficacy of their activities on the students' learning. Teacher must gain cultural competence, that is the ability to function compatibly in a cross-cultural setting and to interact harmoniously with people from the culture that differ from their own. Second point, which I would like to highlight here on the basis of analysis, teachers need to become effective cross-cultural communicator. Effective cross-cultural communication skills help teachers to create a classroom environment that encourages good interpersonal relationship, which is missing, if we'll say, on the basis of these cases. Above all, teachers need to know how to adapt the content of instruction and teaching style to students' culture and individual preferences. Curriculum, methodology, material should invite a student to identify with the educational process and enable them to function bi-cognitively. Hence, I would like to conclude here. The managing diversity is the broad and complex issue, as it is the prominent American scholar James Bank 2008, 2010, and very extensive work is available in this area of this particular educationist. Propose a widely adopted framework of multicultural curriculum. Reforms that involve 5 dimensions: content integration, knowledge construction, prejudice reduction, equity pedagogy, and empowering the school culture and social structure. I believe in that, and I think it's a good research to apply there in the school system where we have a diverse group, and when we have added this economically weaker section group in our schools on the basis of 25% reservation, we should take extra care while students are here in pre-service program. I am not just emphasizing need here in pre-service program. In-service program should also base and design this type of program to inculcate empathy, give equal treatment, as well as learner-based profiles should be available with them to add according to the requirement of that particular student to bring them into mainstream. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you
very much. So the next speaker will be Professor Mino Parikh, Dean Director, Digital Media. Okay. Okay, sorry. The next speaker is Vasilis R.G. Ropoulos. Sorry, my pronunciation is really bad. Okay. Department of Special Education, University of Thessaly, Greece. Please proceed.
Namaskar, good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be here and I want to express my deepest gratitude to the organizing committee and especially to Professor Santoshi Halder for inviting me here. My talk will be focused on the learning environments, but learning environments through networking. And in order to analyze this, I will show you very quickly some examples of European networks. Just some food for thought. So my talk here today, it will be separated in sections. The keywords of this conference, one of the keywords is diversity, and another one very important is inclusion. And of course, many scholars and professionals, they talk about these terms, and it is very interesting because these terms, these words, inclusion, diversity, it's like a very nice story that everyone can say things about this. And what is amazing, every time we discover a different dimension of these things. So I want to emphasize a little bit this. Of course, when we talk about diversity, we can talk about different races, different ethnicities, we can talk about gender identities, and for this we have new disciplines. Imagine that diversity, since we accept diversity, new disciplines came up, like neurodiversity. This is a proof that diversity is something real. It's not only in theory, or it's not only the struggle that teachers and professionals are trying to do in the classrooms. in the universities. But it's something real because new disciplines we have here. And of course, disability is something that I say to myself and to my students, it is a blessing. It is a blessing because disability actually teaches us diversity. And not only diversity, but also how to deal with this diversity. So if we want to pick up, some strong characteristics about diversity, of course, it is now the main characteristic of all learning environments. You cannot take out this property, this characteristic of diversity from any contemporary learning environment. And of course, diversity dominates our lives. Now inclusion. Everybody talks about inclusion, And sometimes we talk inclusion, we refer to inclusion just for the inclusion. Inclusion for inclusion. Without a real content, without tools, without equipments, without expertise. Of course, what is amazing here that Professor Baby, Professor Nori Kawai, later on I will explain why there are very similarities in these presentations. Inclusion, it's like a perfume, You can smell it in the air. You don't need proofs all the time. You can see that. For example, the sense of belonging. You can feel that, yes, I belong here. Yes, somebody has thought of me because I'm a blind person and there is braille. I'm a deaf person and there is a sign language. So you can feel that somebody has thought about you. So actually, inclusion is something that creates a safe space. Everybody is valued. All voices are heard. And of course, that motto, the one size for all, we know that this it is a myth. It doesn't exist. And of course, these things were mentioned during this wonderful conference about the tools. When we say inclusion, it's not something superficial. It is something very real, and it has tools behind that. It has sweat. It has hard work. We talk about differentiation. We talk about co-teaching. Co-teaching is a model that enhances inclusion, but this depends on the collaboration between the teachers who are co-teaching in the classroom. We have RTI, the professor mentioned yesterday, RTI, response to intervention, different levels of ability and disability and differentiation on that. We have UDL, Universal Design for Learning. Imagine that this model, which governs now all learning environments, it didn't start from pedagogues, it didn't start from teachers. The concept universal design started from the architects because they were thinking that we are building up buildings, roads, pavements, everything, but have we include in our concept mothers with the trolleys, old people, people with disabilities? So they started to build up an inclusive society depending on this aspect, on the architectural aspect. And that model, now, all the pedagogy borrowed this model, and now we discuss about universal design for learning. You organize something from the scratch. For example, books. The books should be in braille. Also, at the same time, the book should be have the capacity that large fonts. The books can be also an audio. The books, like these smart books, these smart devices. Actually, this is the future. It is smart because every customer is happy. Many times I call my students. I say to my students, you should feel like a customer. When you are a customer, you want to be satisfied. You go to a cafe, you go to a restaurant, you want to be satisfied. You are not rude, you are very gentle and polite, but you want to be satisfied. These are our students. They want to be satisfied. They want to be happy. And when a person with disabilities wants to be happy, actually wants accessibility to everything that is taught in the classroom, in the school, including sports, including social activities and all the others. And for this reason, we have a non-stop training, and of course we have interdisciplinary teams. So diversity and inclusion is something that one helps the other, or one creates problem to the other. The more we accept the diversity and work for the sake for diversity, the more inclusion we succeed. Now, the section number 2 in this presentation try to link these two keywords with learning environments and networking. This is not easy. Since we accept that every single context can be transformed to a learning environment, then we may think, okay, what are the most representative learning environments? Of course, we have the formal education. We know formal education. We have a syllabus. We have teachers. We have examinations. We have all these, bad things, and good things. Bad things because of the exams, of the tests, and all these things. Pressurized things. But we have also informal education. Informal education takes place outside the classroom. It may be in sports, in other leisure activities. Excellent representative of informal education are the museums. The museums, the last 30 years, they want to become inclusive. In the past, museums were, most of them were very protected areas. Do not touch. You know this. Don't touch, don't touch. But if a visitor is a blind person, what does it mean for the blind person do not touch? Since he cannot see. So what is the benefit for the blind person to visit a museum? So like educational systems, many years of course ago, they wanted to include all students, all children. Now the last 35 years, museums want to be very inclusive, and for this they have changed definitions of what is a museum, and they have lots of activities, including visitors with disabilities. And of course we call them informal education because they do not have a syllabus, they don't have assessments and stuff like this. An effective networking usually has 3 stages: prepare, engage, and follow up. It resembles very much of a company, of a business matter, because look, the first one, prepare, check the event, target the individuals. You like a conference, it's a huge task to do. So you have to take some steps. But the last one, give to get, is very nice. It's like a win-win process. For this reason, many times we say, look, make friends. Change cards, create small groups, so you can start give and take, but the outcome of this is very fruitful, is very creative. And of course then they engage states, target your targets, talk about business, low commitment, the word commitment is over there, and follow up. And of course the follow-ups. You have to keep a continuation. Like when we say inclusion, there must be a continuation. It's not a static process, it's a very dynamic process. Like love. It's not a static, it is a follow-up situation, love. It's not something very superficial when we talk about love. Sorry for the laugh, it wasn't in my thinking to talk about love. Anyway. Now, a very common networking is the thing that happens between schools, associations, and universities. A number. How many minutes? I think it's okay. According to no cheating. No cheating. Not cheating. 5 minutes. Now, the main structure of projects. A common structure. Of course, there is many peculiarity in projects, but common structure. We have the networks, we have the training, the element of training should be there, and of course my favorite method, actual research. Look how many outputs we can have in these common networking projects. The first step is assessment. What are the needs of teachers? Like the previous speaker talked about the challenges and the needs that the teachers have. Assessment. And then you build up a syllabus. Formal, informal, it doesn't matter. And then you have the training. And after the training, you expect people to do things, to create things, like differentiated material, like questionnaires, like reflective, and then disseminate. And then you end up, after 3 years, I'm talking about networking, where there's a time length of this networking, and then what do you have in your hands? A small a treasure, which is the best practices guide. And it may be extremely useful to one educational setting, may be less useful to another but educational setting. But of course, it is useful. Some examples. Networking. Look, this project, a 3-year project. It was about early intervention services for families with children with vision impairment and additional disabilities. Early intervention is very, very, very sensitive section in special education because it involves families, small children, you know, and they need to be trained, the families. So that was something very crucial. And you see the countries here, Greece, Romania, Turkey, Germany, Croatia, Cyprus. Many countries, many backgrounds, different backgrounds, diverse different backgrounds. And they brought all these nice things at stake. These things were at stake. They brought them and they analyzed them, and everybody was happy because they can take the tools that they wanted. 2 big training centers from Germany, Blinden Institute in Munich and Malidom in Zagreb. These 2 big training centers, they collaborate and disseminate all these useful tools to everybody. Another project. It was about communication. We talk about communication, but communication again has many different types, like alternative, like augmentative, like many different types. And this project was focused on this communication thing. Again, Greece, Romania, UK, France, Cyprus was these countries which collaborate. And that was the agonies, that was the things that the teachers wanted to discuss, wanted to be trained. And based on that, about defensiveness, for example, when we talk about blind people, there are 2 different types of blindness. One is the ocular, the problems that comes from the eye only, and we have the cortical visual impairment, something that it is more general and has multiple disabilities in this case. So teachers wanted to be trained on this. So the manual, the syllabus that was built up on specific areas. Alternative communication systems, assistive technology, early intervention, tactile material, all these nice things. And look at how long this training process took us. It was real, face-to-face, and after that it was from distance. This training phase was like training on the go. The trainers were present in the teachers' classrooms. The trainers became observers. The trainers became assistants. So actually for more than 10 days, all the trainers were in teachers' classrooms. They took notes, and after that, they discussed these notes and they reflected on that. So that was a very nice experience, the training on the go. And after that, when the trainers left, because the trainers were from different countries, when the trainers left, distance, they started to apply action recess, 2 minutes left. 1 minute left. We should be generous. Okay. That was another training model with museums. You see, museums collaborated with universities, and when I say collaborated, they designed all these differentiated material like these ones. These are still, this project has finished about 8 years ago, but all these materials, they are still there and in displays, and they can play and can create activities. So actually, what is the useful thing, the outcome from all this? That the networking creates outcomes, and we call them generic learning outcomes, because there is a continuation, it doesn't stop. It is a model. It brings skills, it brings attitudes, it brings values, but it brings also enjoyment. I mean, we should be happy, we should smile, we should be very positive, you know? If we don't have these ingredients, then the cake is not good. We need these ingredients in our cake. And of course, training. COVID was very bad, but COVID forced us to excel on distance. Distance. For this we have so many models now, distance training. A few seconds now. The thing is, an effective networking is a disclosure, to be honest. You need to expose yourself, to say things about yourself, to show your knowledge. So you need to share. Are we ready for this? A learning environment is an engaging environment. It's not just, you are not a visitor when you are engaged. You need to go there and work. You cannot survive in an engaging environment with promises and superficial ideas. Are we ready to get engaged? Diversity. It may be perceived as a blessing or as a threat. Are we ready to embrace diversity? And in the very end, what is the real essence of inclusion? I don't think there is one definition. There is not one definition. But sometimes, some people, they see it as educational breakthrough, but is it a universal human right? We need, I think, to think globally, like here, it's an international conference, and then to take all these ideas and act locally. Thank you very much for your attention and your patience.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Dr. Anirban Chalakaporty, Head Research and Planning Management Group, Crest, Calcutta. Thank you.
Good morning all. So, thank you so much, Professor Halder, for inviting me for this conference and speak. She mentioned that it's a spatial problem. So, let me first introduce myself in a different manner. I'm not a professor. I completed my PhD from the same university, Calcutta University, but in nanoscience. I am from physics background. I completed my PhD in nanoscience, but instead of the common path for going for a postdoc, I joined administration. And I am in administration for the last 14 to 15 years. First was in Presidency University, Assistant Registrar, then Deputy Registrar. Then I moved to Ashoka University, a private organization. So if you have done PhD and if you are a researcher, it will always hunch you, you have to publish, you have to do research. So after spending 10 years in administration, 10, 12 years in administration, I thought that I am exposed to higher education administration, higher education management, and this is a very fantastic field, and I should, do some research, publish there. And I have a training in research. But when I go for a publication, I realize that my science training is not working because social science is absolutely a different thing. And social science research is something else. So I get some more training from University of Bath. I completed a DBA in higher education management, and for the last 4-5 years I have started publishing. So I'm going to present few things from my professional experience and also from my research. The topic is internationalization, evolving concept of internationalization, higher education, and what are the critical reflection on sustainability, inclusion and diversity, which is the theme of this conference. So these are some of the terms: translation, cross-border, dual degree, offshore, global citizenship, borderless, internationalization. These are quite a trendy term for all of us, right? Mostly from 2000 onwards, we are hearing constantly this kind of terms in higher education sector in many cases. And particularly the internationalization sector, earlier it was, some student exchange or some scholar exchange, but gradually we came out with training program, franchises, virtual degrees, and then recently, lot of universities, they are coming in Middle East, they are coming in Asian countries, and they are opening hubs, they are opening their offshore campuses. So there is a good transition how internationalization in higher education has been changed throughout the year. So in this presentation, these are some of the pointers I will cover up. First is the evolving concept, how the internationalization concept has been changed. Of course, the Indian perspective, the importance, the major challenges, concerns, and also a little bit of recent developments. Connecting internationalization with sustainability goals and all. And what are the strategies we, the universities or higher education institute, can promote for sustainability through this internationalization. So let us come first for the concept of internationalization. If you go to the review literature and all, mostly people have said it's a phenomenon for over last 30-40 years. This term came out. Earlier it was existed from the ancient time, but this particular term of internationalization in the literature reviews and all came mostly for the 30-40 years. And to be very honest with you, till date, a proper definition of internationalization is a critique of scholarship, predominantly. Many researchers, they have different kind of definition for internationalization. People mix up internationalization with globalization. There are a lot of confusions on it. And mostly, we have Jane Knight. He is one of the best researcher in higher education internationalization. So this is one of the definition most of the people accepted. There are a lot of new revisions are also coming up into it, but Knight says that internationalization is basically a response to the push and pulls of globalization, looked over and exercising in the opposition of end to product benefits, economy, bringing comprehensive level global awareness and cultural perspective. So this is, you can say, one of the definition the researchers are accepting on internationalization. Most of the revolutionary thinking and change thinking for internationalization came after the COVID, because before COVID, mobility of student, mobility of researcher was very easy, but the COVID time, it shows us that there may be situation where people can't move from one place to another place. So there are a lot of new thinking about internationalization, new policies, new frameworks for internationalization came out, particularly in the COVID time. changing geopolitical situation is also a very much concern. We know the fight between China and US. A lot of things are happening. People are revisiting how to, conceptualize internationalization in a different manner. And also nowadays, in UK, in Europe, in USA also, a lot of researchers are saying that we should not consider the short-term goal or the neoliberal approach of internationalization. We have to go for the long-term comprehensive approach and more emphasis on connecting internationalization with the sustainable development goal is giving up. People are giving a lot of importance in it. And also, persuasion of internationalization through multiple approaches. How inclusion, diversity can come in more effect, how the refugees, immigrants, minorities can be included through these processes. So, lot of research is going on, change perspective of internationalization in higher education. Now let us come into the Indian perspective. Most of the time when we say about internationalization in higher education, we start from this Nalanda Takshila. We have a lot of people, lot of scholars visited India from ancient time and so on. But the ancient times are now gone. If you come to the next level, when the colonial era was there, Britishers are also created a lot of universities in India, mostly the presidency colleges in 3 cities and all. Those are little bit of model based on the British universities. Some researcher has focused this very properly. Then we got the independent. IITs were the main focus for our organization. And at that time also, it was not only the student exchange, but many foreign countries, they supported us through financial help, a lot of support. Few faculty also came. So that was another era. India also have internationalization in higher education we can consider. And now at present we are huge, right? If you think about the higher education network in India, it's huge. In terms of students, we was 3rd largest after US and China. But if you come to the current state of Indian higher education, people say that it's an island of excellence in a sea of mediocrity. It does not, we don't happy with these terms. So let me show you one thing. Why people call it? I was in Bath in UK and I was just discussing few things about higher education with our UK colleagues. One of the professors showed me this map. So this is a map, very interesting map. The consumption of electricity throughout the world. It shows that if there are the bright side areas are mostly consume the maximum number of electricity. So it can be easily correlated with the development countries and all, right? If you change this map with the higher education, top rated higher education institutions throughout the world, the map will be almost similar, except one place, that is India. In India, we will only see few dots. So I think from that way, this is the concept that we have excellence, but not throughout. We have few IITs, few IIMs, but most of our universities, they are not up to the mark. And researcher says that, proper internationalization approach, global level education, research, that's the main lag we have. That most of our universities are not able to performing very properly in the international level. So another thing, Professor Verghese from Nepal, he has mentioned very clearly, in Indian higher education, internationalization has a absolutely different approach. Most of the foreign Western universities, internationalization is for revenue generation. They need international students hugely for their revenues and all. During the COVID time, a lot of US universities openly stated that without international students, it is not possible for us to survive. But for Indian higher education or universities, revenue generation is not the main approach. For the government, it's basically extending the soft power, diplomatic relation with the other country, And for our universities, if you think about our best universities, the reason for going for internationalization mostly to enhance their global ranking. Some of the studies has mentioned it very clearly. And there are a lot of people are interested in doing research in internationalization in India. They have said that we don't have any practical strategies, policies, which is very crucial for our organizations and our universities. Is it significance? Yeah, it's immensely significant. We need immediately increase our institutional capacity. If foreign counterparts are coming and collaborating with us, there is a lot of opportunities for increasing our institutional capacities. We don't have proper quality education or research accessibilities throughout most of the universities in India. Our universities are performing very poor in the rankings, although ranking is a very controversial term. A lot of people don't believe in ranking, that's a separate topic. It's also, if you have internationalization in your campus, it's also increase your level of global awareness, cultural perspective, competitiveness. And after COVID also, British Council recently published one data. Indian students wants to go abroad, that's for sure. So if you can bring international education, international research in your own country, there is a possibility that few students will stay here and completed their research here. So what are the challenges for the foreign counterpart, okay, sure. These are some of the challenges. I am not going into details. You can just see some of the research development. The government is pushing a lot for improving our internationalization status. GYAN is one of the approaches going very well. There are sparks. There is a huge focus in Study in India program. New age private universities, although private universities in India confined is in a different manner, but 60% of our education is scattered by private institutions. Few institutions like Shivnadar, Ashoka, Jindal, they are doing really good. Their approach is really good. And finally, we have the national education policy, which says very clearly about the importance of internationalization. There is one segment only for internationalization. In India, people are also, concerned about the risk factor of internationalization. Many people are saying, if you are bringing foreign universities in the country, what will happen with the IITs? What will happen with the IIMs? There is a chance that they will get diluted very badly. There is a threat for research security, intellectual properties. A lot of tensions are going on between China and America regarding this. And also, you need to have a very proper quality assessment when you are encouraging foreign counterparts to enter into your higher education sector. So, how you can connect internationalization with the SDG goal? Universities are considered as a cities, okay? So, all these 17 SDG goals can be easily promoted through universities. I just want to mention few particular goals through internationalization. Universities can reduce inequality through this internationalization with proper inclusive policies, scholarship, promoting underdeveloped groups. From Indian universities, a lot of focus are now in African countries and all. So these are few terms through which we can reduce the inequality. Quality education, of course, is a huge thing. Sustainable cities and communities through the research, and promoting the urban development and the community-based learning initiative. Economic, decent work and economic growth, of course. Now we are in a globalized market. You have to prepare people for globalized job. So internationalization play important role there. Climate action, definitely, it can't be possible to keep yourself in a national level when you are addressing the climate action problems and all. You have to go for international approaches, and of course partnerships and goals. So these are some of the strategies we can do or promote sustainability through internationalization. One is definitely the curriculum. In India, we have environmental studies as a mandatory thing from our school education also, but that does not suffice the entire thing. Our curriculum needs to be changed. Sustainability, all the approaches, all those things needs to be incorporated very properly. Technology integration is a huge thing for strategizing this particular aspect, because India, the internet penetration is very, very high. You go to a remote village, people use mobile, so that can be utilized very properly. Universities should, go for an integrated model for SDGs. There are a lot of frameworks, Western frameworks for sustainable development goal, how you can assess. But there are few new age models. This Alzokat and Abubakar, they are Middle East scientists. They have said that an integrated approach, integrating your teaching, your research, and very much your operation. The university should also integrate their operation to this goal. SDG and connecting the Sustainable Development Goal and the Global Affairs Office. That means the internationalization office. How you can connect those offices for the universities to promote more and connecting these two issues. And of course, we need to encourage research between these factors. In India, we are always, announcing a lot of policies, whether it is health, whether it is education, many times. But there are not proper research going on how to implement those policies in a proper manner. We don't have much research going on policies in India. If you compare it with US or even if with Hong Kong, nearest countries, they have a huge number of research centers embedded in the universities who are doing research on these policies, how to implement that. We have a serious lack in this side. And the storyline is that we have a policy after 34 years on education, but announcing a policy and executing it are two different things, and they will slide in the details. So that's the food for the thought for education, for higher education. It's a vast, complex thing, and I think this audience, we need to understand the importance of this policy research to get the change in our societies and all. This is the small group. We work mostly on the higher education internationalization. We work in many aspects of internationalization, starting from sustainability, starting from how global market can be connected, what are the Indian perspectives are there, and I'm here happy to get some suggestions, comments, and collaboration. Thank you. Thanks.
So sorry to interrupt, Nandini, but you can take it was excellent. I was not able to hear all of the lectures, but it was an excellent talk, I think. Everyone, thank you so much, and also Vasilis as well. So it was an excellent talk, but we can take few questions. Yeah.
Yeah, but before we decide whether we can take questions or not, we can take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so great. Thank you to all the speakers, and if anyone in the audience has any questions, you can raise your hand. Yes. Please introduce yourself and keep your question brief.
Hello everyone, my name is Nandana Verma. I'm a research scholar from Regional Institute of Education, Mysuru. Thank you so much for all the insightful lectures. My question is to Dr. Anirban. When you spoke about the role of new age universities like Ashoka, Kriya or Rishihood has come up in the internalization of education, my question is how economically inclusive these new age universities are. Because when I had a chance to visit some of them, I felt that they give state-of-the-art facilities but at a higher cost.
Yeah. So the thing is, you are absolutely right. The cost of education in this institution is definitely huge. We are the student of Calcutta University. I used to say in my father that I don't know very little amount they have invested for my education, but I have completed my PhD here. But if you go to a private institutions, per year cost, when I was in Ashoka, per year cost for doing a history graduation is near about 8 to 10 lakhs. It's huge. But the thing is, that is not the thing. The universities, the institution must have a break-even policy, must have a operational cost, how to get the operational cost from the fees and all. But you have to understand, in Ashoka, in Kriya, in Shivnadar, there is a huge amount of scholarship also they are giving. And they are giving scholarship to need-based people, merit-based people. So those are some of the policies these particular universities are doing really, really very well. And they are making the change. So almost at Ashoka, I know, near about 21% is absolutely, they don't pay anything. There are a lot of, and they target few communities. So these are some of the things, particularly for the private organization, they can think of. You can take money from the people who can give it, but you must have an approach or you must have a policy to incorporate other communities, other society peoples also into your campus. How you are going to do it? There are plenty of policies, there are plenty of researches also going on, but you need to give the focus on that.
Yes.
Ma'am, whatever your presentation, very nice, of course. You have observed so many negative or below-level practices that you mentioned. But in your practical view of this on that work, did you find any positive practices? Because we have lots of barriers, we know that. You just mentioned any positive practices that was.
This practices was there, but we have taken all the dimensions of the discrimination and diversity. I have collected cases on that only, the discrimination which is there on the basis of caste, religion, region, the language, all these things are covered there, but few schools which are doing really good in this type of thing and they are providing special assistance to that, it is also mentioned there. Only one school we have seen this type of assistant which is available there. They have collaborated with the Orchid India Limited, and that is doing a good job, and the student who is having a problem in language, maths and this type of things, because it's a primary level, so they are providing coaching to them without any cost. Only one school I have seen. So we have taken 12 schools, the observation and the cases from there, but only one is doing this.
Okay.
I have mentioned that. I will utilize this PowerPoint. So not the cases, but the suggestion which I have given on the basis of these analysis were available here. It is with organizers here.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Sir, ma'am, I have another question to Hasan sir. I have one point that you have started with how with differentiation, because you in every steps you just mentioned after training or getting training to blind students or any other disabilities to give training. The training term is you have used so many times. But I think differentiation, the first step of that level, that how percentage of disability is there in the student. Is that student able to continue with the normal student, or he or she the high percentage of the disability to get another training sessions or another institution. So differentiation is one of the main point in my thing. So I want to know from you that how your presentation is there is a state differentiation. So how your differentiation process is there, how you differentiate there, then to for training, which you have identified or told many times. But differentiation process, I want to know differentiation process particular.
Let me ask you if I got it right. You asked how we can differentiate different students with disabilities in secondary or in university.
Yes, in the school level mainly, school level.
In school level.
School level.
Yeah. Well, I can answer to this question not only in school level, also at university level, which is harder. The secret is that most teachers, I mean the general education teachers, they do not know very much about these things.
Yes.
You know that. So the point is that all teachers need to start from a basement. And the basement, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, is differentiation. Is tools that all teachers they need. For example, I'll tell you an example. 15 years ago, the government distributed devices in all schools, like make tactile pictures for the blind, tactile pictures, embossers for braille, many devices, note takers. Each note taker, braille display, may cost about 5,000 euro. It's a huge amount. Now the government distributed 15 years ago in all schools that they had mainstreamed blind students. What was the outcome? Almost none of these teachers used this device. Why? Because they didn't know how to use it. So what actually it needs, every time that the government or there is a big donation, it should be the training, a part of this package. You cannot do anything without a training, and not a long-term training, very to-the-point training. Hit and go. This is the hit and go. Do something. So we visited all schools in Greece, the schools that they had blind students, and we taught them, we trained them how to use this device, that device. And then the two teachers, the co-teacher and the general education teacher, they started to collaborate, to make a small networking. Networking starts from two. You cannot network with yourself. Perhaps we can do that, but it's in a very high level.
You have mentioned co-teaching.
Yes. So the networking, the normal networking, it starts with two persons. If these two persons, they need to be trained to collaborate effectively. And this share, accept the diversity and all these things. Just a few seconds. Now we face a problem because all students with disabilities, the government decided, the Ministry of Education, not to give exams to enter the university. When the students with disabilities, they finish school, after that they can apply and they can enter the university. Of course there is a percentage there. But the problem is that the professors, my colleagues, they do not know how to deal with these students. So we created, now it's the 10th year, an accessibility center in the university, because you see, inclusion is a problematic situation. Because when you solve a problem, another problem arises, and you have to solve the next problem. So we have now an accessibility center in the university, and we try to train our colleagues, the professors, how to deal with students with blindness, with autistic students, and so on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think only the question on the stage here can be asked, because we really have to wrap.
Actually, not a question.
Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. It's not a question. It is. I'm just playing the role of the moderator now, for which I was assigned. I think this panel threw light upon various important contexts which we are grappling with as educators. From the classroom, like the cases which have been reflected by Professor Fawzia, and the kind of discourse she has reflected, that this is the reality when it comes to race, or when it comes to caste, or when it comes to religion or culture. and multiculturalism. India is an example of multiculturalism, and it is now getting slightly shrinking. And that element, it needs to be challenged, and that element needs to be constantly revisited by teaching and learning practices, which I feel is a joint learning experience for both teachers as well as students, you know. And what Professor Vasilis is talking about is this constant engagement with understanding students from diverse backgrounds. So you talk about inclusion and diversity in your presentation, where you are talking about students with different set of needs and different set of capabilities. I mean, they are at par if we provide those kind of tools or those kind of materials. If the brain is not there, or if the sign language is not there, then how can these kids participate or be at par with everybody? So that is a big question which you are throwing out into the scope, and why training is so important. With every class, I mean, this has been my experience of teaching last 10 years in central universities and private universities. 5 universities I've taught in the Northeast. And with every class I learn from my students. And the kind of diversity that is there when it comes to language, when it comes to gender, when it comes to class, caste, and the kind of abilities of the students, it is just a learning experience, you know. So that is something which I've taken back. And I thank Professor Anirban for his perspective on administrative and internationalization view, which Indian universities are now trying to open up. And this is something which is crucial. In my own class, I'm guiding students who are from Lesotho, from the African continent, and they are trying to study about migration in the context of students who have migrated, who have been impacted by parental migration, and how that is impacting their education journeys in northeast of India. So these are some of the, I think, thoughts which I'm carrying with me. And this is a platform of network. Thank you, Professor Santoshi, for creating this platform for networking, and all the stalwarts here for giving us this support. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, see, I would just like to add what Anirban has told regarding internalization and globalization. This is one of the burning topic right now, and that's why I was sitting there, because this is something which impressed me a lot. Now, what he was saying, like, we are doing great in our own way, like from India, University of Calcutta, or many other universities and institutes are doing great. If we go to the, specific departments, some of the faculties are doing great and cutting-edge research, and that is reflected from some of the citations that of their publications. However, the number of publications from the social science, first of all, is not at par. But I would not say that they are not doing the work. But when it comes to publication, I think a lot of people will agree, when we submit a paper, or rather when you submit a paper to an international journal, the first attitude of the international journals are that, okay, this is coming from a developing country, first of all. And I understand why. The concern is right. The English language is a little not at par with the international language, and we don't take editors. We do everything our own. We are our own statisticians. We are doing the statistical analysis. We do ourselves. If you go to the international universities, you will find the statistical part is done by the statistical specialized people, and they are paid for it. The English editing is done in China and Japan by other people sometimes. But we do our own. Why? Because we don't have research funding so much for that. Even for publication, sometimes it is asked like 50,000 INR for one publication. I have never done the publication with money. But see, these are some of the challenges that we are facing, of course.
There are some other things which is a concern for India, I think. Now I am being very critical, being from India. As I already, with due respect to all of the researchers, but you see, we are a little orthodox. We don't always take that risk. For example, I will just give one or two examples. There are faculties, you see, we have given a lot of recordings of various peoples who have not been here, but they were excellent speakers. And one of or two of those speakers or have got many more such kind of interest of doing a PhD with me. And when you go for, and that person doesn't belong to maybe education. That person is coming from another discipline. Now NEP is flaunting a lot that across the discipline PhDs, across the discipline research is what is required. But you see, when we go and approach, when this kind of talking and discussions are taking place in the department, they are not facilitated. We just go by that narrow mind, okay, whether that person has masters in education, why? That person wants to do a PhD in an interdisciplinary area of education and psychology and sociology and MBA. We have to just see that we need experts from these 4 departments. It can be across the discipline of the same university or across other institutes and universities. When we will come out, that we will have guides and co-guides from other universities. Why? Just not for the sake of names. But we want, because that expert is required. I want, for example, Savita from Tejpur University, because she specializes in one particular field. And this person who is coming for PhD under me, I need her specialization. It's not about name. But we are not flexible. But these flexibilities are there in other universities. For example, if I want to do a PhD, which I am, I really want to do another 2 set of PhDs. Because after you complete a PhD, you feel like, there was something else also which you are so interested. But it is so easy for me to approach another university abroad for an interdisciplinary area of research with across the discipline subjects, universities. It's very flexible. They just see what content you have in your synopsis. So that flexibility actually we don't have. I think that is very, very important if we really want to come at par. Because the main agenda is to do good research. If somebody is coming from another discipline, another subject, we have to understand whether it has that meat, that flesh, that significance to go for that, to go in one. So this is one thing which I really feel that is important. And another, when it comes to internalization and globalization, see, we have to come out of these boundaries of like just Bengal, my state, or my India. See how beautiful world we have. Wonderful researchers across the world and across the disciplines and subjects. We have to flaunt, we have to get exposed. We have to expose ourselves, and the more and more we get exposed and expose ourselves and also allow us to get exposed to other universities and institutes and researchers, then only we will develop. So I think this is extremely important that at this era, we have to come out of our orthodoxy and our boundaries of states, country. I mean, বুঝি না যে শুধু আমি পশ্চিমবঙ্গ, আমি বাঙালি. Yes, I am a Bengali, but or not, I am an Indian. Why not I am a global citizen? When something is happening in Russia, why I am not empathetic about it? কেন আমরা আমাদের ছেলেমেয়েদেরকে এই জিনিসটা আনাতে পারছি না যে অন্য জায়গায় কিছু হচ্ছে, but that of course is something a matter of concern for you, and that is globalization. We want global citizens, those students, those young generation who will feel for anything what is happening not right in any other country and take step proactive to do that, to address and prevent those things. So I think we have to come out of the boundaries and see how beautiful is the world across the discipline, across the religion, across the gender, and across anything that we have. And this is what we are talking about when we are saying inclusion of all. So come out of the boundaries, join hands and see how beautiful is the world. So
I've come to the session and I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the chairpersons, moderator and the respected speakers as well. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir.